welcome to Hekate's Crossing. Okay, so I want to continue with the Celestine Prophecy and Experiential Guide. Okay, so we're up to the 7th insight with this series. Okay, so I've just pulled out this deck, the Sacred Geometry card, Visionary cards for the Visionary Path. I was thinking about the 7th insight, and the message I got here was spiraling into love. So let's have a little bit of a look, see here about what spiraling into love really means. So we've got card number 44. Which is, if you're in numerology, you can find out a little bit more about that numerologically as well. And spiraling into love talks about intimacy and communication. So the spiral helix of your DNA whirls around the sacred couple and quickens communication of their intimacy. Human DNA helps connect us to the web of creation. It holds ancestral knowledge as well as future potential in a vast library of information. Also swirling around this couple are spirals of possibility that they only have to recognize in order to activate. As they experience both human sexuality and universal love, this information stimulates their conscious decision to communicate with genuine intimacy. There are many styles of communication. Simple words may be effective for making a statement or providing instructions. However, when concepts and emotions enter the exchange, words often fail to convey the message intended. The card asks that you view the way you communicate. Do you speak from your heart with respect and sincerity? Do you truly listen to the people with whom you are speaking? Resolve to look into the eyes of the person with whom you are communicating and recognize the marvelous being that stands or sits before you. Observe both your own and the other's body language and feel their essence. Listen with discernment before you respond. Formulate your words as if they are prayers wanting to be shared. With gentle grace and positive intent, speak your truth in the intimate way you're able. Reversed, you may be wrapped up in your own story or may feel misunderstood. Do your best to step out of your ego and gently speak your truth. What an interesting card in regards to this. So let's have a look at the 7th insight as we dive into a little bit deeper with this here. So let's have a look at the 7th insight. So here we are. So just take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And let's have a look at this. Engaging the flow. Like I said, interesting. In this chapter, our character is instructed on how to keep his energy high in order to engage the flow of evolution and receive the information he needs to make decisions. Faced with the choice of where to go next, he is warned not to fall back into his aloof drama and encouraged to stay connected to the background emotion of love. He begins to notice thoughts and images that pop into his mind just when he feels at a loss. His current questions are how to find Marjorie and how to stay out of danger as he continues to track the insights. Trusting his intuition as to which road to take at a crossroads, he nevertheless is captured. What looks like a disaster holds the key to more than one of his questions. A young Indian cellmate helps him understand the guiding messages in dreams and intuitions. The 7th insight. The 7th insight tells us that we can evolve consciously. It points out that just as humans are evolving physically, we are also evolving psychologically and spiritually. The 7th insight shows us how to do this by actively engaging the flow. Father Sanchez tells our character that the first step is to build energy. The second step is to remember our basic life questions. And the third step is to discover the immediate smaller questions. By observing our thoughts, our daydreams, and our dreams, we can find messages for ourselves that tell us what our questions are and what we need to do next. Building energy. Father Sanchez gives very clear instructions on how to keep energy at its maximum level. Practice his method daily and it will become second nature. It is especially important to build energy whenever you feel fearful, confused, or overwhelmed. However, don't gloss too quickly over your feelings. You might need some downtime to integrate and accept what has happened. When you're ready, shift your attention from the negative feelings and practice the following steps. Okay, let's begin. Firstly, focus on the environment or on one beautiful object. Remember how things looked when you were energized in the past. Look for beauty, unique shapes and colors, and a glow around everything. Take deep, conscious breaths, holding each one 5 seconds before exhaling. In through your nose, hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale through the mouth. Breathe in the beauty around you until you feel buoyant. Visualize each breath filling you like a balloon. Feel the energy and lightness. Check to see if you feel love as a background emotion. Imagine that your body is surrounded by a vibrant halo of light. Imagine that you are a radiant being, inhaling and exhaling energy from the universe. Take on an observer viewpoint and remember that there is a purpose in whatever is happening. Notice that thoughts feel different when you are in the higher vibration. In a controlled drama, thoughts dwell on struggle. Connected to higher energy, you feel open to whatever comes. Stop as often as necessary to reconnect. When you stay full, in a state of love, nothing nor anyone can pull more energy from you than you can replace. Energy flowing out of you creates a current that pulls energy into you at the same rate. Next, look at the right question. Throughout our character's journey, he repeatedly comes to a point where he doesn't know what to do next. When this happens, someone usually comes into his life and asks him such questions as, why are you here? What do you want to know? What is your question? This centers him and helps bring his question into focus, into the forefront of his attention. Soon thereafter, messages begin to appear. For example, during his stay in prison, his cellmate Pablo asks him, what were you just thinking about? What is happening in your life right now? One of the points that Father Sanchez makes is that the only time we do not get a hunch about our next step is when we have asked a question that is not part of our evolution. He says, you see, the problem in life isn't in receiving answers. The problem is in identifying your current questions. Once you get the questions right, the answers always come. The question can be concrete about outward events, such as our character's question, where are Marjorie and Will? Or abstract such as, why are the priests against the manuscript? When you listen to your intuition and feelings, you are plugged into a universal current that will show you where you are stuck, happy, sad, confused, or angry. Probing your coincidences. Stay alert to any messages that a coincidence is bringing you. Learn to probe it for meaning. What ideas does it connect together for you? Why is it coming now? If it appears to be a disappointment, what positive result might there be? What action might it be suggesting? A well-known concert pianist who lives in New York was offered a job in a foreign country. Although the offer was very attractive, he was uncertain whether to take it or not. While keeping this question in mind, he went to the post office. Coincidentally, he was served by a man who was from the same small country he was thinking about. Deciding to probe this event a little, he casually mentioned the coincidence to the postal clerk, who said, well, you have to go where your friends are. Somehow the comment hit a relevant chord and gave him an insight as to where he really felt most at home, which was New York. When to take action. You might decide that an intuition to take action is truly coming from a universal intelligence. However, unless you feel in alignment, the action might not bear fruit. Sanaya Roman, in her book Spiritual Growth, says, take action only when your feeling is inviting. open and positive. Then the actions you take will be aligned with the higher will. You will need less effort to get positive results. For instance, after you've done your energy work to create results, you may have an urge to call someone. Before you call this person, stop for a moment, get quiet, and imagine yourself calling. If calling feels warm, good, and inviting, then call. If you feel resistance, if your energy drops, or you have any other negative feeling, what you think of doing something, wait. Doing what you love. Your deeply held dreams and goals are part of the purpose that you brought to this lifetime. Sometimes we put aside our dreams and fantasies as if they were impossible to achieve, however tantalizing they might be. Perhaps we feel that we don't really deserve to have a life that good. You've already found your way to the insights, just as our character did by this point in the book. Your desire to make a difference in the world is linked to the talents you have and the events that have influenced you so far. As you become more open to the coincidences and willing to examine what their message is, you'll find it easier to know which actions to take. Carol Roger, a private consultant in Mill Valley, California, told us the story. I was in the pool at a hot springs up north when I overheard a woman talking about Celestine prophecy and the right use of will. She and I started talking and figured we must have a message for each other. Well, I don't remember exactly how this came up, but I mentioned that I'd always wanted to help people find their voice. Then she told me that's what she does. Tears came into her eyes and I got goosebumps. I feel like a huge shift happened to me when I acknowledged how important this idea had been for me when I was younger. I just assumed I couldn't really do it. Something is also happening with my meditation that is different. There is a feeling of a deeper connection, and I don't know why. It's subtle, but it feels more alive. Remember that each moment is an opportunity for you to stay present, even when it means going through physical or emotional pain. As much as we struggle to make progress or to gain enlightenment, we are often thrown back into our most human frailties, and in them we find our true nature, our true aliveness. Thomas More wrote in The Care of the Soul, "This is the goal of the soul path, to feel existence, not to overcome life's struggles and anxieties, but to know life firsthand, to exist fully in context. But the only thing to do is to be where you are at this moment. Sometimes looking about in the full light of consciousness, other times standing comfortably in the deep shadows of mystery and the unknown. It is probably not quite correct to speak of the soul's path as more a meandering and a wandering. The difference between impulsive desires and intuition. You are in the process of discerning messages that come from your own insecurity and those that come from your higher self guidance. As you become more aware and attuned to your inner center, you will learn to distinguish between impulsive desires and intuitive knowing. Both can feel compelling. In the beginning, you might not be sure which is which. Don't be hard on yourself if you do mistake one for the other. An important rule of thumb is not to act out of a sense of urgency. Okay? Don't act out of a sense of urgency. Inner knowing usually blossoms over time and subtly influences our direction. Although intuitive thoughts can be equally compelling, there is always time to reflect before acting. Okay? As we move towards paying more attention to our inner center, we will notice the difference between messages from our intellect and our intuition. Intellect-centered messages might be based on scarcity, fear, or guilt, be based on protecting oneself, be compelling with no time to reflect, be quick answers and feel out of context with your flow, be the first thing to come to mind and feel like a desperate need. Okay, intuitive-centered messages are loving and reassuring, persistent, encouraging and positive, not usually demanding immediate action, really radical without smaller steps to initiate change. Okay, handling fear images. The character in the novel asks, what about negative thoughts? Those fear images of something bad happening, such as someone we love getting hurt, or of not achieving something we very much want. Pablo answers him by saying, The seventh insight says that fear images should be halted as soon as they come. Then another image, one with a good outcome, should be willed through the mind. Soon negative images will almost never happen. Your intuition will be about positive things. When negative images come after that, the manuscript says they should be taken very seriously. For instance, if the idea comes to you that you're going to have a wreck in a truck and someone comes along and offers you a ride in a truck, then do not accept it. Fear is a natural part of life and is an ally when it helps you avoid danger. Learning to see how fear functions in your life could be an important piece of information. Fear, along with its derivatives of anxiety and worry, is an impediment to evolution if allowed to be the first or primary way we process new information or choices. It takes us out of the present by focusing on either past or future problems that might not be relevant. The advice of the seventh insight is to change our negative thought processes by stopping fear images and replacing them. However, it might be important to acknowledge then the fear rather than trying to simply ignore or deny it. Once you understand the message within the fear, practice letting those thoughts go and imagine the positive outcome you would like. For example, John, studying for his contractor's license, was dreading the exam. Remembering his high school days and the trouble he had on maths exams added to his anxiety, but he was motivated by the thought of having his own business. He was determined to prepare as well as possible, and this prompted him to try some new behavior to deal with the fear. He began to take a few minutes to relax before studying each day. He imagined himself receiving his license in the mail and how proud he would feel. When the fear of failure came every now and then, he remembered that his father had always belittled his abilities, and that he was now a capable adult and eager to progress in his life's work. I told myself, John, people need well-built, beautiful homes to live in, and you're the guy to build them. It helped raise my spirits again and keep me going. His work on his attitudes and beliefs paid off, and he passed his exam. Notice when you tend to forget fearful. During the day, notice what brings your energy down. For example, you might feel drained after talking with someone about your past tragedies, your present woes, or your future fears. Dealing with fear and doubt. The more you can sense energy, the more you'll be able to distinguish between self-negating fears and actual warnings of danger. At first, you might not have much confidence or trust in the information you receive. If so, ask for more precise information. See how your fear is related to your control drama. For example, if you have learnt to attract energy by being a poor me, does your imagination look for trouble as a way for you to stay a poor me? As an aloof, do your fears of being invaded keep you from asking for help from others? As an intimidator, do your fears of not being taken seriously prompt you to look for resistance when none exists? As an interrogator, do you fear that if you don't monitor everything, you'll be abandoned and alone? Finding the message in fear. Acknowledge the fear. Sit with your fear and really feel it. Feelings of heaviness are usually indicators of fear and worry. Bring the feelings into consciousness. Ask for guidance. Write down the specifics of what you fear. Talk to the fear and find out what message it has for you. Is it realistic? Notice the accompanying negative thoughts you have about yourself when you're fearful, such as everything is in a mess, I'm swamped, I wish I'd never done it, I'm so slow, I'm so stupid. Negative inner dialogue, self-talk, returns to you in negative feelings and fears as well as in negative outcomes. Exaggerate the fears. See if any human can be found. In what way do you feel inadequate? Releasing the fear. Focus on your breathing for a few minutes. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Get as quiet as you can. Spend a few minutes alone. Clear your mind and relax. Ask for guidance in any form at this time. Broadcast love. Surround yourself and others with light. As fear and doubt thoughts arise, release them to the light. Focus on what you want. See clearly the outcome you desire. Remind yourself that you always have options and can make choices. When you have attained some measure of calmness, think back to the subtle signals you were getting before the full-blown fear started. Remind yourself that there are always messages coming in for your benefit. When you feel fear, shift your attention to your highest purpose. Imagine yourself at your best, surrounded by the beauty and friends. Releasing control. If you're forcing, struggling, and overworking to make things happen, you are not following the universal flow. Practice yourself, asking yourself at times of confusion, why am I here in this situation right now? What is happening in my life at this moment? Spend time quietly with yourself. What happens when you release anxiety and control? Okay? Sometimes you do need you need perseverance to work through obstacles. But if you're fighting what feels like a losing battle, something is not in alignment. Stop what you're doing, particularly if you feel you have no other option. When you feel boxed in and helpless, you're probably caught in an internal struggle that is manifested in your outer world. Let go, ask for help, be willing not to do anything for a while, or be willing to not know what the answer is right now. The most practical activity is to observe and connect with the beauty around you so you can be open to coincidences and new messages. What is the missing piece in your life's puzzle? Engaging in the flow usually means that you get what you need in order to prepare for the next step in life. An opportunity is presented and that you must do the work. Staying in touch with your hopes and dreams and needs helps them come into a being. Okay, take a nice deep breath. What is the one thing that gives you the most problem right now? Be very specific. Now formulate a question that would help you deal with your problem. Imagine that question is right out in the forefront of your consciousness. Somewhere in the front of your forehead, be open to an immediate sign or message. Dream study. Dreams are life lived on the inside without constraints of time or space or measure. How then can we account for this multidimensional metamorphosing inner reality in a few pages or even a few volumes? Most of the time we get out of bed vaguely aware of last night's perplexing journey, places we've never been, and people who might or might not be alive, friendly, or who they appear to be. Once in a while we are astounded by some marvelous feeling of wonderment, joy, and searing love, or devastated by unbelievable terror and abysmal loss. There's no telling what will turn up each night. Like synchronicity, this nightly carnival of images might have a message if we look more deeply. Usually we don't stop to really analyze a dream until it is so clear and unusual that we are captured by the dream, not the other way around. The seventh insight tells us that our thoughts, daydreams, and night dreams come to help us intuit our way. Tell us about something about our lives that we are missing. Dreams as messengers. The insight says that we should compare the dream to the story of our life. Let's review our character's current situation and questions and how his dream spoke to them. He was looking for answers about the manuscript. He was feeling lost. He was in prison and feeling caught in spite of his best efforts to choose the right road. He felt his only option was to talk to someone and letting him go home. He was struggling against being caught. In the dream, he was looking for a key in the deep forest, looking for answers about the manuscript. The forest is a symbol for Peru, spirituality, and being lost. He was lost and wishing for some guidance. During a thunderstorm, an act of God and out of his control like his capture, he was washed down a deep ravine and into the river, which was flowing in the wrong direction and threatening to drown him. He felt he had taken the wrong road. Despite all his efforts to negotiate the cliffs, he was unable to proceed any further, being in prison. He realized the river he was fighting flowed out of the forest and up to a beautiful beach, where he saw the key he had been looking for. He comes to the realization that what he needs to know will become clear exactly where he landed in prison. Now, luckily, Pablo asks him a crucial question. If you had to experience the dream again, what would you do different? He answers, I wouldn't resist the water. Even though it looked as though it might kill me, I would have known better. It is worth noting that our character feels excited after his comparison of the dream to his life, a sign that he connected to the true meaning of the dream instead of merely analyzing the elements in the dream. He made a comparison of these elements to what was really happening in his life. Pablo kept him on course by suggesting that he start at the beginning, noticing the progression of events, and then look at the ending of the dream. You might want to try this method the next time you awaken with a dream or fragment of a dream. Okay, so let's do the checklist for engaging the flow of evolution. Keep energy strong. Be open and feel love coming in. Observe beauty to increase energy. Stop as often as necessary to build your energy. Stay in a state of love as much as possible. Ask for answers. Center yourself in the present. Remember your core life question from parents. State clearly what your current questions are. Sorry, excuse me. Keep these in the forefront of your intention. Watch your thoughts and dreams. Stay alert. Take an observer point of view as if you were watching a mystery unravel. This helps you to release the need to control. Notice if something is brighter or more colourful as a signal to help you make a choice. Notice thoughts and hunches. This is the information you now need to know. Compare your dreams to your present situation. See what they reveal that you're overlooking or missing. You do not understand the information you're receiving and don't seem to be getting any. Make sure you are asking the right questions. Ask another question. Probe coincidences. Notice how coincidences fill you with energy. What is the coincidence bringing into awareness? Is there further work to be done with this person? Do you have a hunch about something or recurring thoughts? Become alert for the next coincidence or message. Usually moves in the direction of the thought or hunch. Send energy to others. Give your full attention and energy to those you meet because they all have a message for you and you for them. Remember that you don't have to use your control drama to compete for energy. Remember that the energy flowing out of you creates a current that pulls energy into you at the same rate, so you are continuously replenished. Summary of the seventh insight. The seventh insight is the awareness that coincidences have been leading us toward the attainment of our missions and the pursuit of our life questions all day. Day to day, however, we grow by understanding and following the smaller questions that are derived from our broader goals. Once we get the questions right, the answers always come through. Mysterious opportunities. Each synchronicity, no matter how growthful, always leaves us with another prime question. So our lives proceed through a process of question answers, new question as we evolve along our spiritual path. Synchronistic answers come from many sources: dreams, daydreams, intuitive thoughts, and most frequently, other people who feel inspired to bring us messages. Okay, that's it for today. Don't forget to check the links down below. Check the links on my channel. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded. Take care.